Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Breaking news. President Biden, who has essentially been in fetal position for most of his presidency after the media fed us he was the guy who could get things done, has shown that he actually can and will take executive action to help corporations, not so much the planet. It hasn't really been covered that much in the media, but there was about to be an historic worker strike, specifically railroad workers, that could have seen over 100,000 railroad workers strike. Of course, Biden doesn't want that. Of course, corporate America doesn't want that. So Biden put an end to it. Let's take a look. This is from the World Socialist website that does great work and actually often tells the truth when the mainstream media feeds the corporate line. Following appeal by unions, Biden announces emergency board blocking nationwide railroad strike. The White House announced an executive order Friday afternoon creating a presidential emergency board, another board, to intervene in a national contract dispute in the railroad industry. The announcement of the PEB, a form of federal mediation, blocks a potential strike by over 100,000 railroaders, which could have legally taken place as early as 12:01 a.m. on July 18th, today, at the expiration of a 30-day, quote, cooling off period. Last week, railroaders in the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen voted by 99.5% to authorize strike action. Almost 100% voted for a strike. Workers have been without a contract for nearly 3 years, and conditions in the railroads are atrocious. Tens of thousands of workers have resigned in recent years, particularly due to the punishing work schedule in which 70-plus hours a week are not uncommon. Workers are on call 24/7, leaving them unable to plan a family life or even schedule medical appointments. In addition, workers have not had a pay increase since the expiration of the last contract, leaving them at the mercy of 9% inflation. Meanwhile, the Class 1 railroads have made record profits during the pandemic. Quote, we should have a raise based on inflation, one Richmond area CSX worker told the World Socialist website. These are by far the worst years of my career. People are quitting all over, which was never heard of before. We even have payroll stealing money from us on a constant basis with no accountability on their end. When we submit valid claims, they take 6 months to pay us back with no explanation. It's sickening. The move by Biden was widely expected. However, it is significant that the chief agitators for the appointment of the PEB board were the rail unions, who had been pushing for it since May. This amounted to a demand that the government intervene to make illegal a strike by their own members. At the same time, Smart TD President Jeremy Ferguson issued a statement denouncing as malicious lies claims that the unions were pushing for strike action or for wage increases, which would keep pace with inflation. The appointment of the PEB makes clear the true meaning of Biden's boast to be the, quote, most pro-union president in American history. In plain language, this means that Biden is aggressively promoting the pro-corporate unions to suppress the worker opposition. The move comes as the International Longshore and Warehouse Union has kept dock workers on the job for more than 2 weeks after their contract expired on July 1st. Both the ILWU and the port operators have been in daily discussions with the Biden administration. They issued a joint statement last month in which the union declared it had no intention of even preparing a strike. The immediate objective of these corporatist measures is to prevent the movement of the working class against the rising costs of living, massive levels of overwork, and the ongoing pandemic. However, a no less critical objective is to discipline the working class on the home front as the United States prepares catastrophic new wars abroad. Significantly, Biden made the announcement as he was traveling to Saudi Arabia to meet the butcher of Riyadh, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So essentially what you have here, Biden, who basically says he can't do anything, the parliamentarian, Manchin, cinema, the Constitution. I'm doing what I can, but I can't do anything that upsets the corporations or my donors. When over 100,000 railroad workers were going to go on strike, which would increase and severely pour gasoline on the already significant problems with our supply chain, interrupting, close to 30-40% of products moving on freight. When that potential was there, which obviously would have downstream effects for the economy, would make a bad situation in terms of supply, inflation worse, he could act. Well, you might say, well, Jordan, he's acting to benefit the American consumer. Is he? Is he benefiting the consumer or the corporations that cannot afford a railroad worker strike, but won't do a damn thing to treat these railroad workers with some respect, human dignity, not have them on call at all hours of the day and week, not have them working 70 hours a week, not shorting them on benefits? Biden stepped in to avoid the strike that would hurt the economy, but does not care at all about these workers actually having decent living conditions, decent working conditions, decent standard of living. And most of all, his little board, these boards exist to mediate, i.e. tilt towards the corporation. This board is not going to be in favor of the workers or their needs. By the way, these workers who are on call all day, all night, 7 days a week, these workers who are working 70, 80 hours a week, they're doing this while the corporations that own these railroads and freight trains are making record profits. So here you see Biden can step in and nobody will stop him. Not the parliamentarian, not Manchin, not Sinema, not the courts. He can step in when he has to save the corporations, not when it has to do with workers. He could have stepped in a while ago because there's been problems with the rail strikes, with the railroad workers and wanting to go on strike for a while on behalf of the workers. He did not do that. He's doing it now for the corporations. And of course, CNN wrote it this way: Biden averts freight railroad strike for now. Worried about supply chain problems that are already causing problems for the nation's economy, President Joe Biden took action Friday to prevent 115,000 U.S. railroad workers from going on strike as planned early Monday morning. A strike would have brought nearly 30% of the nation's freight to a screeching halt. Because those workers are covered by different labor law than most of the nation's workers, Biden had the power to block a strike by naming a board to try to come up with a compromise. Quote, these disputes threaten substantially to interrupt interstate commerce to a degree that would deprive a section of the country of essential transportation service, said Biden in his order late Friday. We got to protect the consumers, not the workers. Now, Biden is stepping in for this emergency order. What is he not stepping in to do? I don't know. Avert planetary destruction. As we know, President Manchin just stepped in to block the already minuscule climate proposals that were being proposed, $300 billion for clean energy tax subsidies, which is a Band-Aid to the planetary inferno. But Manchin stepped in to block those because he is the president, not Biden. Biden progressives chose not to go on a public pressure campaign against Manchin when they had a chance to actually shame him and pressure him a year ago. And Manchin is now essentially trolling them, blocking anything, even minuscule climate proposals. So Biden's stepping in for the rail, to stop rail workers from going on strike. But as there is an unprecedented heat wave storming the globe, well, can't do anything. President Manchin. Europe heat wave turns deadly as France and UK brace for hottest days on record. An unprecedented heat wave is underway in France and the UK that is likely to topple all-time national high temperature records and potentially kill several thousand people. The scorching heat is moving north into a more vulnerable region after tormenting Spain and Portugal. And by the way, over 1,000 people have died in Spain and Portugal due to this heat wave. This is a climate change-related public health emergency. Already hundreds are dead from the heat-related causes in Portugal and Spain, and the toll is likely to climb much further. The UK Met Office is forecasting the country's first ever occurrence of 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius temperatures during this event, with a high of 97 degrees on Monday. The UK's national temperature record stands at 101.66 Fahrenheit, set in 2019. That is likely to fall as early as today. Let's take a look here at the fires scorching France and Spain.
Spain is now battling its largest fire in recorded history and nearly 30 others across the country. I'm doing so badly, so stressed. We're all so stressed, said this resident who escaped. While in neighboring Portugal, more than 200 new fires were reported Friday and Saturday, with one person dying from heat every 40 minutes, 659 people in the last 7 days. Italy has been hit by its worst drought in nearly 2 decades. Its longest river, the Po, has fallen to a record low, threatening crops and electricity generation. And in southwest France, planes dumped yet more water over wildfires that have burned an area bigger than 20,000 football fields. 14,000 people have been evacuated so far. We're living through an Spain is now battling its largest fire in recorded history and nearly 30 others across the country. I'm doing so badly, so stressed. We're all so stressed, said this resident who escaped. While in neighboring Portugal, more than 200 new fires were reported Friday and Saturday, with one person dying from heat every 40 minutes, 659 people in the last 7 days. Italy has been hit by its worst drought in nearly 2 decades. Its longest river, the Po, has fallen to a record low, threatening crops and electricity generation.
Need more? Let's take a look at these folks in Spain who are on a train as fire engulfs all around them.
What's he doing?
The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls for immediate action against climate change. We have a choice: collective action or collective suicide. And all flights canceled at RAF Bryce Norton, the UK's largest Royal Air Force base, because the runway has melted. These are just some of the headlines, just some of the video. Biden can declare a climate emergency and authorize the use of the Defense Authorization Act to mandate corporations to, in bulk, create clean and renewable energy. He's not doing that. I wonder why. And if you want more information on that, just go to the American Prospect that has a whole list of executive actions he can take, not just on climate, on a whole lot of other things, but refuses to do. Probably because his donors don't want him to. So, kind of shows you inaction, first action. Inaction, first action. He could act to stop railroad workers from going on an unprecedented strike, can't act to save the planet. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.